How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Richie, and coming along with me for this show, my good friend, Mr. Idris Salam. Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Always a nice wet Saturday, but it's still a good day.
Got a lot done today, man. I dropped a lot of wood off at the dump. Getting some stuff done here around the house, man. I want to get my yard in order, especially some of those bushes before the frogs start taking over the yard, you know?
Well, make the 7-hour drive here. I got some stuff you can move out of my yard too. I got your meal waiting on you, man.
It's an excuse to kind of get out of Florida, so I'm kind of down regardless.
Or maybe you can find my daughter and grab that sandwich she just made from my house and ran out the door with.
Yeah, that's kind of foul, man. Before we went on live, Idris's daughter basically said, "Hi, Dad." She attacked his cold cuts. Bye, Dad.
I love you, Dad.
I love you, Dad. When it's like that, sometimes you're like, I don't know. I mean, then again, I hit my mom's house, and I usually confiscate a lot of stuff out of the fridge too. So I don't necessarily know, even at my grown-ass age, if that's really a thing that doesn't still happen. So I'm just gonna. Then I see my stepdad looking at me like,
"Yeah, I did it to my mom when I was 50." So I can't.
Looking at me like, eat my food, man. Get your feet up on my couch, you know. So
my mom was 72 when I was 50. I still with her. How your mom thinks.
well, the thing is, I mean, we're always at kids, you know.
Right.
You know, that's how it goes. like if I don't want to go food shopping and I'm off, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go visit mom.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, because you know the meal's there. Here we go. There she is.
I missed the beginning. This is the beginning.
This is the beginning. You're right on time.
Well, since this is a sports podcast, we are going to talk about some sports-related topics.
Right.
NBA's faltering ratings. We definitely want to speak on viewership. What was a disappointing All-Star weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Huge night for Julius Randle, tying his career high. Big Knicks comeback win in Washington. We're going to speak on our comparisons of the Dominican Republic and the United States World Baseball Classic teams. Definitely going to hit on the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely going to hit on the Yankees, as well as the pitching clock. And we've got some NFL news ranging from two very important New York Giant players, as well as Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. We're going to start here talking about the NBA. This is something that's on my mind for sure. It's an issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, recently there's been a critique about players not playing, essentially talking about rest minutes. That in itself is a disappointment if you're talking about people that spend their hard-earned money to watch. You know, I mean, Brett said it on our last show before he went into his madness about the Raiders. He did make a good point that, you know, it's got to be disappointing if you're a kid and that's your favorite guy, but he's on an already pre-scheduled rest day. Nobody plays 82 games anymore. Very rarely do you see that. And I understand it's a marathon, not a sprint, but I do think that marketing the game, that is an important variable.
Yeah. I think I had put up a stat the other day where last year only 5 players played 82 games. And each year for the last 6 years, it was going down. Now we got 5 players play 82 games. Jalen Rose made a point that if you're going to sit out a game, you sit out a home game. Because if you're like, just say you're LeBron James, you're coming to New York, you got kids who want to see you. You can't sit out. You got to play. You want to sit out at home. Because the home team, the home fans are going to see you all the time. You know, but you might have a home and away game, and that might be the only time this person ever get a chance to see. And see, Kobe Bryant said this years ago.
Yes. Kobe Bryant was very adamant about that.
And Jordan said 20 years ago there's going to come a time where there's going to be low management players not going to play. And, you know, I would have feelings some type of way. I would have some type of feelings towards the whole thing, but these players don't play back-to-backs anymore.
No.
They play, you know.
And I think that's the frustration if you got some tenured NBA fans looking at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they don't play back-to-backs. Now, back then, even up to 10, 15 years ago, playing back-to-back games. Now they play every other day, or it might be they play one day, you got that rest day, and the next day a team has a game, but that star player still may not play.
Yeah, it's not a good look for the league, and especially in a league where the ratings are dying and people will question, why are the ratings dying? I think there's a litany of reasons. I think the NBA was blessed because when you had the 1980s where Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and I've said this on many a show, essentially saved your league, right on the heels of those guys, as well as Isaiah Thomas's Bad Boy Pistons, you had the Michael Jordan era, which then transcended into the Showtime 2.0 with Kobe and Shaq, as well as Tim Duncan and the Spurs. This is all at the same time. Right. And the next era, obviously, LeBron James, intermingling now with Steph Curry and Giannis. So I think there's a lot of variables. I think when you talk about the super teams, that's something that has turned off a lot of even casual NBA fans that maybe just don't want to go back. The trade demands are a little extra in the NBA, more so than any other team, I would think. Any other sport, I should say.
Yeah, it's crazy because they said this, not only was this All-Star game the lowest rated one, they said this All-Star game was the lowest rated All-Star game of all the major sports, even the Pro Bowl. That's how bad it is.
And it's hard to believe that anything could be worse than the Pro Bowl, because the Pro Bowl has been reduced to flag football and other competitions. Because, I mean, I remember not that long ago where the NBA All-Star game was a big deal.
Yeah, they actually balled.
Yeah,
they might have took the first
East and West went all out.
Yeah, they might have took the first quarter off, started picking up steam in the second. Third quarter, you started seeing more defense. In the fourth quarter, it was like, let's go. We got to play.
I mean, I remember the first All-Star game that I can say that I truly, truly remember was when Magic Johnson came back for that one game.
For the one game, yeah.
Yeah, when he hit
didn't want to play because he felt, I remember that,
Yeah, it was, an uneducated world about a very scary disease at the time. But, I mean, that was the excitement of a guy like Magic coming back who sat out the better part of 2 years. You know, you have Michael Jordan essentially playing against the West on so many years. You know, I think that's part of the fall off, is that you need to get back to the East playing the West. Enough of this two superstars picking their buddies. No. It completely ruins the whole purpose of any competitive nature.
You know, Stephen A. Smith, like, I'm glad Mac McClung did what he did in the slam dunk. I'm happy for that kid.
Sure.
I'm glad, and a lot of people are mad because he's white. No, I'm glad that kid did what he did. He showed his ass. He did his thing. Excuse my French.
The NBA needed that. The NBA needed something like that.
Because that's the only thing and he raised the bar. And see, even the slam dunk competition had been going down until this kid came along. And he brought excitement to the game. And see, it's a shame because people paying this money to see these guys out there playing like this warm-ups. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. You gotta put out. There's nothing wrong in an All-Star game with seeing scenarios where two of the best players take it one-on-one for a couple of laps up and down the court. I mean, that's always been part of that game. But I'm talking when you have completely just said, we're not playing defense. This is for that. I'd rather go watch something at the Rucker. Yeah. Because at Rucker Park, those dudes are going to go in on each other. I remember when the Rappers had their teams. Yeah. You had Rockefeller against like Terror Squad. But that was a different era, but that was like good basketball.
You know what? They can, you know, if they're going to have a game like this, you know what? Get the street ballers out there and let them play a game.
Yeah, I'd rather watch like the N1 mixtape.
Yeah, let them guys go out there and ball.
But I will say this, McClung and his I guess you could say the underdog story, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, the guy being from the D League, you know, signed a short-term deal to basically qualify to be in the tournament and for him to win.
Right.
It's a cool story and a good touch. I've always enjoyed the three-point contest. But when those two events are taking precedent, and more attention away from the game itself. That means that you guys have to restructure that. Mm-hmm. And as far as the regular season goes and all of that, to the point of, yes, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we understand that. But, you're already talking about a playoff field that's been diluted now that you have a play-in tournament.
Right.
And when more playoff games is more revenue, it's the same thing with the NFL. We get it. But when you have middle-tier teams that in most seasons of the past wouldn't even qualify for the playoffs, you've got, I think, an issue is when you have so many superstars changing addresses so frequently, I think it makes it difficult for the authenticity of the race itself, because a lot of, like, you look at what Phoenix is doing. Okay, we get it. They acquired Kevin Durant. But I think it's one of those things where a lot of people that watch this are just seeing it as, well, you couldn't win in Brooklyn or things got a little difficult, so now you're just going to go over here. That's why I think the average basketball fans that maybe aren't necessarily a Warrior or a Bucks fan gravitate to guys like Steph and Giannis, because they do feel that guys like that give them a feeling of what the league used to be when it was in the golden era.
I salute Giannis. He could have left a long time ago. Yeah,
Giannis could have left for sure a long time ago. I mean, Steph fell into a good situation. I read a cool article the other day revisiting Steph's draft class. Yeah. And Steph wanted to be a New York Knick.
Yes, he did. That's what I try to tell people. He wanted to play it. He wanted to be a New York Knick.
And Don Nelson stuck it to us one last time.
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing got him fired, by the way, because I'm going to take it back a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Knicks were in transition between Pat Riley and then Jeff Van Gundy. In between those two coaches, you had Don Nelson for a short stay. Nelson was considering trading Patrick Ewing in a package deal to try to acquire Shaquille O'Neal, knowing that there were grumblings that O'Neal wanted out of Orlando, which ultimately was true. We know the story. He ended up forming the best 1-2, in my opinion, with the late, great Kobe Bryant. So ultimately, this gets back to Ewing, and Ewing got his ass out of there so quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't too pleased with Don Nelson anyway. I think Jeff Van Gundy more than did great for the New York Knicks, considering I thought he was the perfect guy to replace Pat Riley. It was one of his assistants.
Me too.
But I think about what we watched in the not so distant past. You're talking about in the 90s, you had those Knicks Bulls rivalries, Knicks Pacers rivalries in the 80s. Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about just going out for blood.
Right.
And I think that one of the things that I find it hard to relate to in today's NBA is that I just don't see that kind of intensity anymore.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's why it made me appreciate, even up to like 2007, up to that point. That's why it made me appreciate the game more, the old game, than now. Because if you say, "Oh, you can't," you're living in the past. No, y'all don't understand. That game back then, up until around 2007, that game back then it wasn't no friends on the court. I'm out to beat you. Period. I want to beat you. Yeah, and that's how it went down. Yeah. And what this new generation of people don't realize, the game back then is how they used to play the games in the street, on the courts. In that era, you would see a guy like a Michael Jordan and a Charles Barkley, or a Michael Jordan and a Patrick Ewing go out for dinner during a series. Right. Maybe not necessarily a series, more so during the regular season, you would see that. Yeah.
If Jordan was in New York, there's a good possibility him and Pat might have linked up.
Yeah.
But the playoffs was a different animal. I think the only guys that kind of broke that rule were actually Barkley and Jordan with the whole playing golf thing. But
even looking back at it, competitive.
Yeah, it was still different. I mean, you were not trying to necessarily link up like that. I know that Jordan did make an attempt to bring Ewing to Chicago. Ewing did not want to leave New York.
Yeah.
Just like, he tried to bring him to North Carolina, and Ewing didn't want any part of that.
He wasn't part of that either.
Because he felt that North Carolina during those times was very far behind, so to speak.
Yeah. So they used to taunt him.
Yes, indeed. And we know the story of Ewing playing in high school, dealing with racism, actually getting a brick thrown at him through the bus. I mean, these are things that, I'll be honest, I didn't even know until the day he got traded, when it was kind of like almost like a eulogy because of how hurt Knicks fans were. But that's a whole nother story unto itself. Nowadays, you don't feel that with the organizations and the players. There's none of that loyalty. And I understand the players got to get theirs. It's billionaires versus millionaires. But there's got to be a better happy medium because this does coincide directly to a ratings situation, and I do believe that between the softness of the rules, there's about 5 or 6 different things you could throw at why the NBA ratings are down. And believe me, I love basketball, and I am trying to the best of my ability to embrace some of the new age stuff because it's not all bad. It's just, but some of this is just, it compared to what I saw, not the same product.
Oh,
Our New York Knicks.
Before you go on, they're talking about a lockout at the end of the season.
Yeah, and that would set them back horrifically.
I'm like, all right, lock yourself out. Be like baseball.
No, that would set them back in a bad way.
Yeah.
New York Knicks yesterday got a big win after trailing by 19. Oh, my boy Steven Ridlon's watching. Yeah. Bruins loading up, and the Celtics would sweep the Knicks. Sweep? I don't know about a sweep. I'm going to hit on that in a moment. I actually believe that the Knicks match up better with the Celtics than the Bucks. All due respect, dude. I don't think anybody's beating the Bucks this year, and I'm going to allude to that and build that up in a moment. I'm glad you're watching, though. Hope you're having a good weekend, bro.
Shouts out to you, bro.
Yeah. Diehard. He roots for everybody I hate, but a great sports guy and just an overall funny dude. Somebody that I definitely.
Is he actually a Boston native or he's a Boston?
Oh no, he's from there. No, but like definitely a dude that if I'd hang out with this guy. Definitely a guy you definitely want to have a beer or 6 with.
Boston fans are
they're different breed, dude. I nothing but love. We like to break balls, but nothing but love.
Yeah.
It's what makes.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway, career high for Julius Randle, tying his previous career best of 46.
Mm-hmm.
I find a much better direction with this Knicks team since bringing over Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
This is a make or break year for Tom Thibodeau in a lot of ways. Thibodeau needs to get this team, in my opinion, at least around to completely secure his job moving forward. This is an intriguing stat with the Knicks. They are the second best road team in the National Basketball Association.
That is crazy.
Only one game over 500 at home.
Yeah.
That's frustrating, bro.
Yeah. Just imagine if you were pretty decent at home.
And I understand over the years, the NBA's marquee players, whether it be Jordan, whether it be LeBron. I mean, even if you want to take it back to like Larry Bird back in the day, what playing on the road in the MSG meant, these guys really secured their legacies as well as doing other things. The old Boston Garden, that's a classic venue, and that goes without saying. But, the Knicks got to tighten up at home. Undeniably. They have to get better at home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just 1 over 500 is not enough. But I like what we're doing. We're number 6 in the rankings, That's good. We're right behind Brooklyn because Brooklyn lost last night. We got a young team, and Thibodeau, he was on his way out. They wanted his head at the end of last season.
They didn't view him as a guy that can diversify the way he coaches a team because the thing with this Knicks team in previous years is that they were starved out offensively past Julius Randle. Yeah. And I do believe that in Julius Randle's case, hearing how good he was actually affected him a little because after coming to prominence, he took a step back in year 2.
He did.
He couldn't
handle the New York media and everything, but this year he seems to settle down like, okay, New York media is not going to play. The fans not going to play. Let me go out there and ball. If I ball, they got my back. If I don't, they're going to crucify me.
The one that really disappointed me taking it back to part of this regime, given the background of being a New York City baller, I was shocked that Kemba Walker didn't work out.
I was too.
But looking back at what we got now, I'm happy it didn't work out. I mean, I always loved Kemba. Yeah. And, if I like a ball player, I'm not going to discriminate against and be like, oh, he plays for a Boston team. I'm not feeling that dude, because there's guys on the Bruins that I admire their game. There's guys on the Boston Red Sox that are our chief rival that I will admit that I admire their game. I mean, over the years, I love Nomar Garcia Parra as a ball player. How could you not like Big Papi, dude?
I was a Yaz fan.
That's a funny dude. That's a funny dude.
I was a Yashimsky fan. I ain't gonna lie. I hated Boston, but I like Carl Yashimsky.
I mean, that dude was great. I mean, over the years, I mean, I think the
Tim
one
Wakefield, he's another one I like because he threw the
the knuckleball. I like him too because he served one up to Aaron Boone.
Yeah, he did.
But
right over the plate.
they got immediate revenge though, so I'm gonna leave that be.
Yeah.
World Baseball Classic picks. I'm basically gonna focus on two specific teams. I really think that barring just a bad week or so, nobody should make it to the finals in this particular grouping outside of the Dominican Republic and the United States. I mean, I know, Puerto Rico has a great squad. I do think Venezuela is going to be heard from. And perhaps you might get an upset from somewhere else. I mean, you cannot discount the Japan team. Right. But when I look at what the Dominican Republic's putting out on offense, I mean, you got Julio Rodriguez, Jose Ramirez, Juan Soto, you got Vlad, you got Manny Machado, Starling Marte, Devers, former Yankee who's looking for a new home, Gary Sanchez.
Yep. I didn't. You know what? That's funny about Sanchez. I didn't know he was Dominican. I had thought he was Puerto Rican. I did not know he was.
I know he was Dominican because of just knowing where he was in our farm system from way back.
I did not know.
But no, I have heard other people say that they weren't aware that Gary was indeed Dominican. Honestly, when I look at the U.S. versus the Dominican rosters, I think where the U.S. has the clear advantage, I think they have more pitching depth. Yeah. But my concern for anybody playing the DR, not just the United States, in addition to having a legitimate amount of power and guys that could constantly get on base, I think the Dominican Republic also has speed.
They got plenty of speed.
Yes. And, I look at this roster and I'm like, damn. I'm like over here trying to nitpick a weakness. And the only place
pop fly, someone's going to catch that. Somebody, and they're going to sling that ball.
No, they got a squad, dude. Like, I think it's going to take a gargantuan effort for not just the United States, but anybody. But, to highlight some of the United States' best players, we got Mookie Betts, we got Kyle Schwarber, we got Kyle Tucker, Mike Trout. Arguably the best catcher in baseball right now, JT Realmuto. We also have
some hitters, though.
Yeah, we got the polar bear.
We got some hitters. Yeah.
Shout out New York Mets. Just kidding. I hate you guys. We got Tim Anderson. We got Goldschmidt. I mean, you can make an argument that both these offenses. I think ultimately the Americans have the advantage in pitching.
I think it's pitching.
It's going to be close, man. And the reason I'm mainly highlighting these two teams is because I view them as the only two teams that can truly win this tournament. I'm not saying Puerto Rico can't win. I'm not saying Japan can't win or Venezuela, but these are the best two teams. Yeah. And, the best team doesn't always win. Sometimes the best team beats themselves, so to speak.
I think with Japan, they had pitching too, but I don't think they had the speed on the bases.
No,
Dominican and Puerto Rico.
Yeah. The Dominican team is stacked.
I think that might be their downfall. Because once that pitching gets in trouble, it's a wrap. Especially with the Dominican Republic, even with Puerto Rico. Once that pitching gets in trouble, those teams going to run you out of the stadium. And with us, we do have the pitching, and we got some bombers too. I think it's going to come down to the DR and us in the end. Yeah,
I'm going to be unbiased, and I'm picking the Dominican Republic to win this.
Yeah, I am because they're just so.
I mean, it goes without saying. Of course, I'm going to root for the United States.
Yeah,
I also would like to see Puerto Rico put out.
They get on base, man. It's gonna be an issue.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure because you don't have any easy outs. You can't really pitch around guys in this lineup. I mean, when I look at the lineup, I would have to say that the easy out, so to speak, is Gary Sanchez. But this is a good opportunity for Sanchez to audition to see if he has anything left in the tank for somebody want to take a flyer out on him.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to move it over to our favorite team, the New York Yankees, and why this is a must-have pennant for the Yankees or else. And what I mean about or else is the scrutiny that's going to come towards general manager Brian Cashman as well as manager Aaron Boone. I try to explain to a lot of Yankee fans that while I will admit I'm not the biggest Aaron Boone guy,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the decisions are already predetermined in terms of analytically.
Yeah.
It's a philosophy that a lot of teams have taken on. Oddly enough, our forever rivals, the Boston Red Sox, are one of those teams that are more against the curve and still doing things more on a traditional basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit, our rivals, damn good manager, Alex Cora. In my opinion, one of the best managers in baseball. Like him or not, I'm going to give him his due. I think he's a damn good manager.
Like him, but yeah, he's not. He reminds me of AJ Hinch, but
Yeah, not quite as bad, but one thing I'm not going to do. I like to break balls, but
yeah,
I know that even with the marred history with the steroid era, you could really poke and pick. And I love when Yankee fans try to defend former guys that use. They're like, "Oh, well, he wasn't using it, bro." Unless you were in the locker room and saw where those ejections were going, bro. Nobody knows for sure when and how. And I'm like, bro, if they could fudge up some more important stuff, best believe they could fudge it up in baseball. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
Exactly.
But it's still fun to break balls. I love that. But what I must say is, this is a team that added Carlos Rodon, huge acquisition, possibly the co-ace, should be the co-ace.
Yeah.
I like that Luis Severino is not going to be playing in the aforementioned WBC. I think he has to really save each and every pitch and inning for the regular season. So a good call to keep him out of that.
Yeah.
Can Nestor Cortez follow up on a Cy Young candidacy year? Last year he was a candidate.
Yeah.
Justin Verlander ultimately was the dude.
That'd be nice though, Mr. Ness.
But ultimately, I think it's still the same swan song with the Yankees. What's going to get them over is they've got to be able to play better situational baseball. Aaron Judge had the season of all seasons last year. Goes without saying. But we definitely have a gaping hole in left. I mean, I've read articles ranging from the fact that Stanton's going to step up. Personally, I know that Stanton is a bigger liability in left than he would be in right. So I could see occasionally Judge doing a solid for the team and stepping into left.
Yeah, because he can play all.
Judge is versatile, but at the same time, you don't want your highest paid, most important player being stretched out like that.
Right.
I want to see Aaron Hicks step up.
Oh.
I want to see Oswaldo Cabrera claim that position.
Yeah.
Do I like that Stanton's contract is what it is and he's only a DH? Yeah, I don't like that. Because if he's only a DH, I want him to only be a DH like an Edgar Martinez or like a Big Papi.
Yeah.
But, that's not an easy contract to move on from. I'm not a Stanton hater, but I do hate his streakiness.
Yeah. I think this would be what, Boone's 50th year now?
18, 19, 20, 21, 6 year.
6 year. I mean, we put up 100 wins, 90 wins, but now we have to win. We can't get past Houston. We can't get past Boston. We got to get past those teams this year, period. There's no getting to the ALCS and LDS and getting beat 4 games to 1, 4 games to 2.
Mom Dukes puts it perfect in. They need to play small ball, not be so reliant on the long ball. That has been our Waterloo.
Dude, so many people.
I mean, you got to go back.
Here.
You got to go back to the late '90s, early 2000s to the last time that I truly felt that. I mean, you have World Series teams where guys didn't hit 30 home runs. I think there was one season where Tino hit over 40. We didn't win the World Series that year.
Yeah.
If I had to take it back through memory lane, I would say that was '97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was between. Yeah,
but
we got to get better in situations. How many times have we had bases loaded, man on second and third, no outs?
Yeah, it's maddening. I mean, I remember, especially during the Judge watch, that I feel that guys were so comfortable walking him because they didn't fear anybody else in that lineup in a pressure situation. I mean, LeMahieu had an off year.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, Gleyber Torres, if I'm sizing up his entire career, he's been a bit of a disappointment to me.
A big disappointment.
Yeah. Josh Donaldson, you got rid of something bad to get something that's not ideal. I'll give Donaldson one thing. He's a hell of a third baseman.
Yeah.
But between not running out routine flies where he could stretch it into a double, kind of admiring it, to just getting involved in unnecessary stuff, like even taking it back to the Tim Anderson thing. I wasn't on Tim Anderson's side.
Right.
Josh Donaldson didn't play that right.
It remind me, what was his name that we had that went to Seattle? Then he went to the Mets. Same year Granderson left. I can't think of his name. Oh,
Same year Granderson left. I'm going to think about that.
Oh no, he went to Seattle. Then he went to the Mets.
Okay. Oh, you talking about Robbie? You talking about Robbie Cano?
Cano, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, didn't like the
funny,
run.
Cano's become an afterthought to me.
Yeah, me too. That's why I couldn't remember.
He's actually, last I checked, I think he was involved in this tournament as well, WBC. I got to see if he pulled out, but I heard he's playing. Yeah, man, you talk about a guy that a lot of people felt could have one day been the captain after Jeter.
Yeah.
So between getting busted 2 different times for PEDs.
Right. And he just didn't run, man. He would just – you got to run the bases, man.
But have no fear. You know, the Yankees spent that money wisely on Jacoby Ellsbury. That was good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we're going to do a baseball preview.
What about Matt Carpenter? What you think?
I was a little disappointed that we couldn't keep him, but at the same time, I understand that you can only have so many guys with so many limitations taking up roster spots.
Yeah.
If this was like a 31-man roster, I'd be all for it. But when you have a 26-man roster or a 27, whatever have you, it doesn't expand big until you get your 40-man roster.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him too. Just we couldn't keep him on the field.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You put him in right field, it's a liability. It looks like a softball league.
Yeah.
Guys that that's essentially how it is. And speaking of the softball league, I want to ask you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get out on these Yankees, they got to make it to the World Series this year. No excuses, I guess, right?
No excuses.
This is it.
No excuses.
Verlander's a mess.
In a row, man.
The Astros just lost their Cy Young award-winning pitcher. He's hooking up with Mad Max to be the 1-2 in Queens, the 1A, 1B, however you want to paraphrase them.
So many no excuses this year with Houston, man. Because he was our thorn, one of our thorns.
Oh, no doubt. And
no
even when he didn't pitch his best, we never quite were able to knock him out of games.
Right. No excuses this year.
No. I refuse to make any excuses this year. It's early. I think the Mariners are going to be heard from this year. Mm-hmm. I think the Guardians have a damn good team.
Yep.
But if the Yankees do not at minimum win the American League, there's going to be some heads rolling this year. Because I
like Boone, but he got to go.
I'll be honest. Joe Girardi got further with the Baby Bombers than Boone has with anything that's come past. So I'm just going to leave that there. I know that it didn't work out for Joe in Philadelphia, but
he got to go. If
I didn't like the way that he got dealt. I mean, hell, Joe Torre got pushed out of town after winning 4 championships.
Yeah.
6
appearances. Don't get this year, Boone has to go. I'm sorry. I don't care if we win 100 games. The Yankees are supposed to win at least 95 games a year. That's something we suppose, and hardcore. We are supposed to win at least 95 games a year.
And we're not gonna be like those Fugazis in Queens that when you get a wild card appearance, hey, let's put it up on the wall.
We don't do that.
Wild card.
No, we win. Yeah, we hang pennants and banners.
Yeah. But we're gonna dive deeper on our baseball previews, which will be coming soon, guys. Pitching clock and our thoughts. Short and sweet. I understand that a lot of people want to expedite the game. I get it. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of those people. I think the beauty of watching a baseball game is knowing that there's never been no clock. That when you get to a ballpark, whether you're watching it live, whether you're in your living room cracking open a beer, whatever, that there is literally no time limit on this event. I always thought that was one of the things that made baseball different from every other sport. I'm like, bro, if you don't, if it's too long, then go throw on the cooking channel. Go throw on something else and come back in the 7th.
You know what? The best chess match is the pitcher and the hitter.
Nothing better, dude.
Let them. Yeah, let's say the pitcher, the catcher, and the hitter. Okay, that's a chess match. Let them play chess.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, at the end of the day, and this has been going on since the beginning of time in baseball. If you do your job to the best of your ability as an offensive player, you succeed 30% of the time, which would be a 300 hit.
Right.
I feel that between the like checking for the substances and the sticky shit, and is he using Vagisil? Is he using Mucinex? Is he, I'm joking. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel that they're doing everything in their power to screw with the pitchers.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't. I mean, I remember I sometimes I think when you're trying to switch the way guys have a delivery, I'm like, bro, don't come on.
That right there got me.
The shift? Learn how to friggin' bunt.
The freaking
learn how to bunt.
Guy how to change his delivery.
If you can't hit it to the opposite field and you're a professional baseball player, if my grandfather was alive, he'd be going ape shit about this.
Right. I don't like. Let them play baseball.
Right.
Let them play baseball.
Right.
They're gonna shift. Let them shift. If this guy got a funny delivery, who had a funny delivery to El Duque?
They were like, yeah, you had some guys over the years that had some interesting deliveries, but I think that's what makes it fun, and it's always been
so unique, man.
That's that's always been like part of the deal. I mean, shoot, I used to like when Joey. That's a whole nother thing. He had the ticks, but when Joey Gallo just started, doing his little chicken dance in
what's his name? The hitter, Bagwell. How low he got?
Yeah. I mean, I remember Julio Franco had that hell of a
he was another one. I mean, that's these guys. You don't mess with their pitch emotions. Don't mess with the way they hold a bat.
Not a fan of the pitch clock. Will they have a step stool for Altuve for the new bases?
Right.
What happened to the baseball purist? They're kind of dying out, man. They are. It is what it is. This is everything's in a rush now, so to speak.
Baseball is the one sport that's always been about as close to the original. And leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I'm not the biggest fan of Gary Bettman, but one thing I will say is I'm happy that hockey still keeps it true. Yeah. For the most part. The most part. I mean, they've done certain things that needed to change, like hey, bro, you have to wear a helmet now. It's no longer grandfathered in, things like that.
Yeah, you're not Rocky Rashad or nobody like that. No
right, but I do think hockey, for the most part, has kept it true to its inception. Last thing I'm gonna say, and it's not going anywhere, but I do want to say it. Mm-hmm. I love and hate the Ghost Runner. What I love about it is if you get out of that first frame and you're the home team, you're probably gonna win. Yeah. But what I hate about it is, you made an out. Why did you get rewarded a base or two bases? Actually, things like that. Once again, expediting the game. This was brought in as an experiment because of the COVID situation. These are things that stay. Thank God they're not keeping those 7-inning doubleheaders. That was the worst. Bro, this isn't
minor league games, man.
Yeah, this isn't like my bar plays your bar.
Right.
And we're only playing 7 innings because we were already boxed by the time we got into the third inning.
You know what's so funny about that? I had forgot all about that. And I was watching the game and I came back. I went to the store. And I said, I'll come back 7-inning stretch. And I came back and the game I was like, what happened? Mm-hmm. And I'm like trying to look around, like, what the hell happened? So I went online, I said, oh, the damn, yeah. I was just like, with the Ghost Runner, I don't like it, but I said, if you can have a ghost, put him on first base instead of second base.
Oh, they wouldn't do that because then you get a guy that can throw a sinker, and then you're in the same line. Oh no, a double play. They want to eliminate the double play.
Right.
They want to eliminate the double play in those situations.
That's a double play waiting to happen.
Baseball preview coming soon. We're going to switch it over to the NFL. Some news here. Our guy, Mike Zappi, actually sent this to us in a group text. The reason he's not with us today, his kids are in the playoffs today, so good luck to all of them.
Yes.
Dallas Cowboys sending a firm message to their franchise quarterback, Dak Prescott, paraphrasing it, but essentially the message is, if you don't get us where we need to go this year, we are moving on.
Win or go home.
Win or go home.
We're sending you home.
I think it's appropriate. When you give the guy the contract that you gave him, and when you've also not done your own self favors by always heightening the expectations amongst your very delusional fan base.
Right.
I would have to say it's time. I'm going to compare him to the man he replaced. I think Tony Romo's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any bad for Dak. I was actually happy for him winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. I know his off the field stuff. We're talking about inside the lines here, though.
Right.
And yeah, if they don't get past round 2, which is something they haven't done since the '95 season, then yes, it is time to move on from Dak Prescott. I wouldn't rule it out if the Dallas Cowboys surprise us and draft a quarterback this year. And it could be something comparable to what we saw with Green Bay with the Julian Love, Aaron Rodgers situation. That's going to be heating up too, that Aaron Rodgers situation. I'm just waiting for something to fall in the NFL. We're kind of all patiently waiting. You know, free agency's coming up right now. Essentially, you can only talk to your own guys. And speaking of our own guys, DJ Saquon. We're also going to talk about Lamar. I got mixed feelings about this Daniel Jones $45 million want-need situation. I'm not convinced.
Well, I found out it was false.
Yeah. Then there was another conflicting one. Oh, no, it's true. I have a hard time believing that a guy that went to Duke thinks that he's worth $45 million a year. I understand as a player you want to maximize what your worth could be. I get that.
Yeah, but
no.
I love DJ, but
15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions does not get you that. And I understand he hasn't had exactly a plethora of weapons.
Yeah, but I like DJ too, but it's hard for me to believe that he asked for that. It's
personally, I think the account that was heard about his previous representation, kind of leaking that out.
Yeah.
I actually believe that it could have been an attempt to slander his ass a little bit. I think Boomer Esiason said it best. If that's true, he's out of his mind. He did have the responsibility of saying if. I think what's the sweet spot for a guy like DJ, given that the market has blown up like that, you get him around 35, 36 a year. That gives you an opportunity to still bring back Barkley. But in order to keep Saquon, I said it on my other show, I think you're going to literally have to give Saquon at least 30 up front.
Yeah, you have to. And that's what I would do. I would give DJ 32, 33, because once the cap go up, it still be below market value. Give Saquon 30 up front, maybe 13 mil a year, 30 up front, 3-year deal, maybe 4-year deal.
Right.
But hey, we're gonna roll with that. Because like I said, we still got Julian Love, Leonard Williams. We need another corner.
L-Dub could be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
The big cat could be the guy that I could see getting traded.
Yeah.
To open up some of this cap space. If the Giants really want to keep Saquon, or if the Giants are feeding into that belief that, yes, he's talented, super talented, but he's just a running back and he can be replaced. I would not want to part with Saquon Barkley. I understand that you take a team like a Philadelphia Eagles who's succeeding with a Miles Sanders back there. And I know our boy Q, who I have a ton of respect for, has alluded to the fact that we don't necessarily need Saquon Barkley, but I will say this to Q and anybody else listening. We do not have the offensive line that the Philadelphia Eagles have. And that's another variable as to why a Miles Sanders mixed with a Boston Scott mixed with a Kenneth Gainwell.
You don't want Saquon to walk and then you wind up meeting him.
Correct. I mean, it's one thing. Listen, if the Chicago Bears blew him out of the water, I mean, who am I to tell anybody not to get theirs? But, I mean, if this is a matter of a few $1 million and he ends up looking at you in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform or a Dallas Cowboys uniform, probably Philadelphia, that would be devastating. And that's something that you can just not allow to happen. And I said this before on my other show. I think in the end, the Giants are going to retain both these players. But I do think there's a casualty coming from the secondary. And if I had to take a guess, I would say it's probably Fabian Moreau not coming back. I certainly don't think they're going to do everything in their power to retain Julian Love.
You have to.
And you're going to see less cap-strapped situations of guys that are not returning for team need. I would be surprised if Landon or Jalen returned on the Giants. I would be surprised.
The good thing I think we got the third highest cap space.
Yes, which is not a bad place to be.
Yes, that's going to help. And like I said, we'll save a little money with Galladay.
Thank God.
Yeah, we'll save a little money with him. Jalen Smith, we know we probably won't keep him. We already voided Sterling Shepard's contract. And we still got Darius Slayton. What's going to happen with him? Because
I feel Slayton is going to come back.
I think so too.
But very much so, I think the Giants are in the market of upgrading opposite of Isaiah Hodgins. And I do believe that it might not necessarily be the kind of free agency splash that a lot of people are screaming about.
Right.
From a nostalgia level, an Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
From a superstar level, of DeAndre Hopkins. But I would not be too pissed off if I open up the phone and get an update that the Giants upgraded with a Robert Woods. I don't think that's a bad move.
I don't either.
Or a Brandon Cooks.
I don't. Oh my God.
I wouldn't be upset with either one of those guys.
I love that Brandon Cooks.
I mean, dude, I'm a huge fan. I'll admit that I was getting a little like homerish and emo with the whole Odell situation and the potential of him returning. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I got his jersey. I was getting hype off that.
Yeah.
But there comes a point, and I think friend of the show, Sergio Rodriguez, said it best. He said Odell is the most overhyped number 3 receiver I've ever seen in my life. And at this point, I'm not necessarily calling him a number 3. I mean, when he was a member of the Rams, yes, he was a number 2, but let's not forget, he was number 3 until Robert Woods got hurt.
Right.
So there's a lot of ways to look at it. I mean, I don't know what Odell's future is. I would be shocked at this point if he goes back to the Giants.
I'd be shocked.
But you never know. As Lamar Jackson goes, this is the most complicated one of anything you're going to see, Aaron Rodgers included, because the Deshaun Watson thing is like a double slap in the face to Lamar, because this is a man who sat out 2 years.
Yeah.
Lamar is a former league MVP. They play in the same division. I think that's ultimately the biggest one that gets Lamar's blood boiling a little on this. Lamar wants a fully guaranteed contract like Watson got. But what Lamar has to understand is the reason why the Cleveland Browns are who they are, and the reason why the Baltimore Ravens are who they are, is because of not doing irresponsible stuff like that.
Right.
I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson can't recapture his 2020 form and be a hell of a quarterback. But what I am saying is, Lamar, you're a former league MVP, yes. But 2 years in a row, you've dealt with injuries that have prevented your team from making any strides, once missing the playoffs and once having an early exit because you didn't play.
He didn't finish the season.
Lamar Jackson plays that game, they beat the Bengals round 1.
Yeah.
They win that game
on the field.
And it just goes to show that it really comes down to a matter of place. But I mean, there has to be some kind of compromise here, because I just don't see a situation where you can logically give Lamar a guaranteed contract like that. I just don't see it happening. So
like you said, I mean, interrupted. Like you said, it's Cleveland.
Yeah, when Cleveland, and I'm cussing out Cleveland for resetting the quarterback market, where we would even have to so much as think about this nonsense with the 45 mil and Daniel Jones and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given them that much money. Cleveland mortgaged their future for Deshaun Watson. So
it was a desperation move because they never have a quarterback.
Right. Lamar Jackson, look, I mean, and I know it's Lamar Jackson, I want my money, but sometimes you gotta say, look, this is Cleveland. This is what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. He will. I mean, he's another guy where I would pay him a little money, give him some money up front, because his injury history, man, the way he plays, and a lot of Giants say, yeah, let's trade Daniel Jones and the number 1 for Lamar Jackson. Hold up a bit.
So now you're getting that makes me laugh.
Hold on, I'm gonna get to that. I told him, I said, hold up a bit. I like Lamar. He's explosive. He's excited, everything. But you see in Brian's Dable offense, the quarterback runs the ball. That's what he did in Baltimore. He got hurt. Those defenses up in the Northwest, Pittsburgh had a good defense, but they wasn't Philly. Cleveland had a good defense, but they weren't Dallas.
And I could venture to say that the Bengals on defense might not even be the Commanders.
No. Brian Dable loves
Pittsburgh will be in that elite class next year.
they want to. Yeah, they love to run the ball.
J. Watt injury.
Do you want to trade Daniel Jones for this guy? And it's nothing against Lamar Jackson. Then you got to pay this man.
No, it's laughable because it's like the same stuff that you're trying to stay away from.
Right. And I'm like, Giant fans, we are finally getting away from Dave Gettleman.
And they want to, and it's like they talk all this crap, but they want to do the same thing.
Right. I like Lamar Jackson. Had we got him in the draft,
yeah, if we would have drafted him that year, that's a different conversation.
He has not finished. It's just like OBJ, great player, but he has not finished a season. OBJ got hurt in the Super Bowl, so that's basically another season he couldn't finish.
Yeah, there's so many ways to dive into different variables of it, and during our division previews or even at our preseason shows, we spoke about how Lamar has not truly won us over yet if he could be the pocket presence that makes him an overall great quarterback.
Right.
And I'll be honest, when I look at Daniel Jones's game, I think there's more to nurture that can make him into that player than a Lamar Jackson.
He's that number one receiver to throw to.
Because, people are bitching, moaning, and complaining about 45. I'll just play devil's advocate for a second. Yeah. If you don't lock him up to a longer deal now, you might get bit in 4 years when the market is really blown up. And now you've got to worry. Zappy actually made that point to me, which I tend to believe was a pretty good one. This is going to be very interesting, and these stories are not going to go anywhere. They're going to be hot topics for quite a while. But before we get out of here, I wanted to ask your thoughts, and we got a little time left in the NBA, but 2021 rematch in the NBA Finals. I'm talking Suns. I'm talking Bucks. Bucks are enjoying a hell of a winning streak right now, while the Suns are enjoying the biggest acquisition of the trade deadline, that being Kevin Durant to team up with Booker and CP3. I'll be honest. If we get this rematch, I'm calling for a similar result.
If we get that rematch, same thing, but I'm going with Denver, man. Denver and Milwaukee.
You think Denver's going to win the West?
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. It's definitely a plausible one. I think that the Western Conference, for the first time in a long time, I'm not completely convinced that their top two or their top three are better than the East top two. It's a respect that I grew for the Boston Celtics over the years of constantly being that close to getting it done. And they finally did bust back into the finals, first time since they had their big three of KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. But I must say that I think Milwaukee, and I said it going into the season, I thought Milwaukee was the team to beat in the East. As a Knicks fan, they're the one team I don't want to play.
No.
Not that Boston would be, a cakewalk or anything of the such. I just think that the Knicks have a better chance of pulling an upset against the Celtics than they do against the Bucks. Ideally, if we top out at the 4 spot, being a Knicks fan, my hope is that the Celtics are the 1 seed, and that gives us a puncher's chance to get to the ECF.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I don't think anybody's beaten Milwaukee this year.
I got to give Milwaukee their credit. I mean, here's a small market team who doesn't have a bunch of stars, but look what they do, man.
And when we say small market, we mean it not just from like the avenue of the money they could spend. I mean, they could do. Everybody has an ability to do a max contract.
Right.
But more so than that, it's the destination. Like a lot of dudes don't want to go to Milwaukee.
Right.
The same way a lot of dudes don't want to go to Cleveland.
Right. But you know what? These guys keep winning, man. They're staying. I mean, they got Giannis. I mean,
It's a credit to the organization. It truly is.
Yeah. So, I got it. And they're just, they're just like that little kid in the back of the classroom where you just like, something's up with him. They stay away from that little kid right there. He might have
it's an ongoing debate that goes back even a couple of seasons ago about who's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys wear the hat and pass it back to each other.
Mm.
But I do believe that Giannis is the best player in the world and has been for the better part of at least 3 seasons.
Carry that team, dude.
I don't like KD. Never did, never
KD's
will.
not
But
a leader, never was, never will be.
but I will not deny his raw talent. But
yeah.
I posted a cool little video. It was like a rap battle between two cartoonish characters of a Steph Curry as well as a Kevin Durant.
Oh, really?
It was funny.
I got to check that out.
Let's just say that the facts kind of lied the way that I thought they should. So whoever created that was definitely not a Kevin Durant fan. But it was good, though. It was good. And it was accurate. And I thought it was actually kind of fair. Just to let you viewers know, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. And coming soon, as in the next few days, we're going to power it all the way up into March. Of course, we got March Madness coming up. But we also want to get into our MLB divisional previews, similarly to how we did things for the NFL, taking a division by division. That is what we're going to be doing here for you guys. And that's where Idris and I are going to really hone in even more about some of our complaining, but we're going to try to keep it to a level with our New York Yankees, as well as try to mask some of our
to complain, man.
Some of our hatred and amusement for the guys from Queens, because I must say, I get a little annoyed how the Mets throw a little money around and all of a sudden like, oh, this is our city and this is this. I'm like, guys, you won one friggin' playoff game last year.
Just like Brooklyn Nets fans. We're the Kings of New York. Y'all ain't won nothing yet.
I have to come and visit the show since I have a word or two about what Mr. Sanders said. You know what? This reminds me, Idris, you wanted to hit on this live a few days ago. Have the floor. You got a few minutes.
Oh. What was I talking about?
With the Deion situation. You had made mention of that.
Yeah. I got a lot to say about that also, Mrs. E. I'm not cool with what he said. And a lot of people saying he said what a lot of coaches would have said. But I go back to saying, okay, so he gets a pass. Now, what if a white coach would have said that? They'd have ran him out of town. They'd have fired him, called him a racist and everything else. So why do people think Deion said? What he basically said is a person from a single parent home cannot be a leader, cannot be his quarterback. That is similar to what a lot of whites said back there about black quarterbacks, because we know a lot of black players come from single parent families. We know that. So, and what if you got that white kid who comes from a single parent? You're gonna tell him he can't be a leader because he came from just a father or just a mother?
Absentee dads, regardless of what the percentages tell you, affect each and every culture. And one thing I will say is that, yes, I do agree with you to a level. You make a good point. But I think this is an opportunity for all of us to take this as a way to say ignorant comment.
Yeah.
But let's not pigeonhole anybody on because this is the same thing that we are all trying to walk away from.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Here we go. Yeah.
Thank you. Same here.
My mother didn't grow up in Beverly Hills or Hewlett Harbor or the Hamptons, and my grandmother raised 4 kids in one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in Brooklyn.
In 2020, and I'm going to show you the picture, I let a crowd of 1,000 people walking through the city. I'll show you the picture. Just like that. I was on Headline News. I was on World News Tonight. I was on BBC. I was on all of that. Just like this.
Mm-hmm.
I came from just a single mother with 4 kids, and I let a crowd of 1,000 people through a city. I also took let me get off of here. I also took a gas can from the police. It was all over Twitter. Why did they shoot this black man with a whole bunch of white guys? But they shot him. That was me. It doesn't matter. You have it right here in your. There's a woman out there who raised a man who can be a leader. So what he said was stupid.
And I'm going to keep it a buck. Two of the 3 guys that I bring onto this show come from single parent household and also both served our country. So you're going to insinuate that those dudes aren't leaders. I'm sorry. And I like you, Deion, and I'm still a fan of yours.
Yeah.
But just own it and be like, yo, dude, I fucked up. It wasn't the right thing to say. We're all human and you are forgiven. Until next time, I am Richie. He is Idris. Thank you so much for watching, and we are out till next time.